So I'm heading to my favorite phone box in all of American sprint car racing with Shawn Neisteadt. You got a cool phone box, mate.
It is. It's high in the sky. We had hot air balloons go by the other night.
Oh, wow.
It was almost eye level with me, it felt like.
Wowzers. So we are driving along to an incredible speedway facility, Husets, and I just love, it just looms up when you're driving down the road here. It's right on the road. I mean, like, right on the road. And that's one of the cool things about it. And it looks like a NASCAR track, and it kind of does for a reason, because a lot of the infrastructure's come from that, right?
It did. A lot of the grandstands come from Daytona. It's the backstretch from Daytona when they took that down. A lot of that ended up right here at Husets.
Could you have cleaned the windscreen before we did this, Shawn?
I know. I didn't know you were going to get in here.
I know. I'm not going to tell you about the other stuff I found in here. And how's your coffee this morning, Shawn?
My coffee's delicious. How's yours?
Yeah, good.
I'm a terrible host.
Apparently. Well, thanks for the interview, Shawn. I'll catch you later. He didn't even bring me coffee. So, wow, that is...
That's the new office.
Wowzers. That's the race shop there?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be the race shop for the Big Game Motorsports team and the Husets offices.
Man, this place looked a whole lot different a few weeks back. You guys made headlines for some dramatic reasons.
Oh yeah, wasn't good.
Is that the first time you've seen anything like that here, or is it?
No, it happens. It happens every 6 to 10 years. You get a big flood like that, and it just kind of comes through the parking lot and trickles into the racetrack. But the Split Rock Creek that is just south of the racetrack is as quick as it goes up, it goes right back down, and then you got to clean the mess.
Yikes. Brooke Tatnall gets around here pretty good, mate. I'm going to claim this as part of Australia, okay?
We'd love that.
Current track champions, yeah, the DeWalls.
2-time defending track champion, and so cool to have the DeWall team
Yeah.
champions again. I mean, talk about ambassadors of the sport and good guys.
Absolutely.
So good to have them.
Yeah, Jason was responsible for getting me into Century Farms Distillery, which is where we are based with our partner distillery for Methanol Moonshine USA, and that was all through talking about his dad and Brooke and the team. How long have you been announcing here at Husets?
Oh, goodness. 23 years, I think I've been either on the infield or up top, so it's been a day or two. I don't feel like I'm that old, but when you ask that question, I'm old.
Well, and you're not Bockhoven 28 years, but you're closing in.
Yeah. He'll always be ahead of me, though. I'll never catch him, but
that's a cool tower. Welcome to Husets. I'll just get a quick shot in of my Craig Chevrolet Pella Motors. Very cool minivan. Massive thanks to Craig Ford, as always. People are heckling me about the minivan. I got to say, Shawn, it's very practical, extremely comfortable, drives beautifully, and the steering wheel's on the left-hand side, most importantly. What a beautiful morning. Look at this thing.
You know,
there's steps right there, and we're doing the elevator. Oh, it's because you don't want to spill your...
Yeah, I don't want to spill my coffee. How's your coffee?
This is actually about the same size as your PA box.
It is. Oh, no.
A little bit. Well, no, actually it is about the same width.
Please don't let this thing break down with me and you in here.
What? He's probably working on some stuff here?
Yeah, I'm doing the real job today, too.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is where we stand awkwardly and just look at the numbers, because that's what happens in elevators.
Yep. You ever stand in an elevator backwards?
Oh, no.
Makes people wildly uncomfortable.
Oh, did I shame you into climbing the last flight of steps yourself?
Oh, this is the stairs. You gotta take the stairs once you get to the 3rd floor.
Okay. Oh, what a view already. Like, you're not scared of heights, right? And like I said, the highway is right there. So much room for an airfield over there so Todd can just, fly in.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could.
Well, I'm making the money.
Yeah. Where's your motorhome? Tony's got a nice new one. Where's yours?
I don't make as much as Tony.
Yeah, fair enough. None of us do.
Behind him.
None of us do. We're all just trying to catch up. Is this new up here? I don't recall seeing this up here.
They just added these this year, so a couple more rows of seating up here, the box, the party decks.
The party decks. Sorry, the party decks. When I say party, people think I'm going to the toilet. Hey, you want to go party? Boy. We're in a different place. Like last time we were down there somewhere.
Yeah, we are. We're up like 2 floors.
Elevated. Oh, and here's the snacks.
Now you see why we took the elevator. We're way up here.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So this is, okay, take me in.
All right.
So is this wider than the old one or the same?
It's about a foot wider. It's about a foot wider. Here we are.
Wow.
This is the place.
Where the magic happens.
I don't know if it's magic, but it's where it happens.
Look at that view. Holy cow. It's a long way to the top if you want to call Shawn. Yeah. Whew. Don't even sip that coffee. Put it down. It's going to get cold.
Do you want a sip?
No.
Okay.
I love scooters too. Justin Clark's and Stephanie's daughter works at one of the scooters. They always say, scoot around. And if they don't, I say, I can't go forward, so you tell me to scoot around. So, do I recall you saying you met your wife here?
I did. So we were teenagers, and it was about, I don't know, down there on that main midway. She was the cute donut stand girl.
Oh, the donut stand.
Every Sunday night, 16-year-old Shawn had to go to the donut stand and get donuts, little fried greasy things, and a Mountain Dew. And I don't know, she must have picked up on it and thought that I really liked these donuts. I was just getting them for a chance to talk to her. So then she started bringing me the slightly misshapen ones at the end of the night. Truth be told, I hate the things. They're gross, they're disgusting, they're greasy. I couldn't eat one to this day. But I ate a lot of mini donuts back then just to go talk to the mini donut stand girl, and here we are.
How did that work out for you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
You wore her down.
Yeah, eventually. Well, she's the cousin of one of my best friends, and I didn't know it. And so eventually he was like, hey, that girl you're trying to get the attention of every week, that's my cousin, and you can talk to her.
Just go ahead and ask.
Yeah.
Huh. When did you first realize you wanted to be an announcer? Was that like last week? Was it when you were a little kid? Have you not worked it out yet?
I haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know if I should be. No, I was a teenager. I always kind of, you enjoy listening to announcers when you've got good ones around. And I had an opportunity. I was writing for the Rubin family. I was writing their race recaps. I was dating their daughter. That was the next chapter. And so they started taking me to all their racetracks, and here at Husets, I was writing the race recaps for their weekly program. And then there was a race here at Husets the week after the Knoxville Nationals. We would race on Saturday nights. And then their other racetrack up in Madison, South Dakota, would run a stock car special on that Saturday night. That was their normal night of the week.
Yep.
But they always struggled to find a fill-in announcer because Mark Tassler announced at both tracks. And so I think I was 18, and I said, I'll do it. Give me a shot. And I must not have been too bad because Mark decided to cut his schedule back the next year and turn that one over to me. And the next year I was on the mic here, and so that'd have been 2002. And here we are. The rest is history. It's been a long time.
Would you agree that you only ever notice a bad announcer?
Yes.
If you're a good announcer, you'll slip through under the radar. A bad one is when you go, ooh.
Yeah. But I think that'd be true no matter what sport you would go to. If you go to a hockey game and their announcer was bad, you would notice that. But if they're good, that's your expectation.
Yeah. What advice would you give kids? I mean, 18-year-old Shawn is exactly like 16-year-old Wade. Same thing. Can you listen to your old stuff?
No.
Me either.
No.
If someone come up and said, hey, Wade, I've got like the first race you ever caught, I'd go, please don't.
Yeah. I don't have I wish, there wasn't pay-per-view like there is now, which is probably good for all of us that have been doing this forever. It would be really hard to listen to, but because you're always learning. I mean, I'm 41 years old and I'm still learning, and I still go back and listen to the Dirt Vision broadcast. And I'm old school. I learned that, when I was getting into journalism, to go back and listen to yourself. So I do that, and you listen to it and you're like, I didn't like the way I said that. I won't do that again. Or, looking at a sprint car and listening to that song, that goes together like orange juice and toothpaste. So you learn those things, and you fix and you correct and you move on.
I announced my Hot Wheels cars on the
Oh,
the
yeah.
lounge room floor. Were you that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Did you always win? I always made sure I won. I beat my heroes.
Probably. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So were there influences in your life you remember hearing as a kid going, oh, wow, that sounded great, like...
We always had good announcers here at Husets. I remember listening to Denny Oviatt, Mark Tassler come after him, and they had very, very similar styles. I was fortunate I got to listen to Dave Dedrick, who was local legend around here when he announced at Hartford the late stages of his career, and kind of got to hear how he did things. And then I was lucky. I got to work. We did a pre-race show here. I got to work with Jim Laton, and he was a fantastic announcer in the area, and I got to work with him a lot. And then I think the first time, like, Johnny Gibson come here to Husets as the World of Outlaws announcer, and like his announcing with the music and everything, I was like, I like that guy. Like, that guy is how I want to be announced to. And that's how I announce to this day, is I announce how I would want to be announced to as a fan in the stands.
You have probably one of the busiest roles in terms of sponsor credits. Like, it's phenomenal. That proves the commercial managers, that work for Todd, both here in Jackson, are doing their jobs, because, boy, everything is sponsored.
Everything, including the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 426 Restart Zone. That is the longest one that's ever rolled off my tongue for a singular sponsor. But I mean, that's what it takes to make things go around, right? The purses here are incredible. So you have to have those fantastic sponsors behind the scenes that support the sport.
Absolutely. So whenever I get a chance, I get behind the wheel. My friends would say, hey, you want to have a skid at the end of the year? And I always do it, because it's a great reminder of how one-dimensional the view of don't you even.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is.
How, it's not even right that you've done that.
Delicious.
Wow. Well, that's all we have time for here with Shawn Neisteadt. It's a great reminder of how you think, as a fan, you get a four-dimensional view of everything. We get a slow-mo replay. You go, why did that guy do that?
Yeah.
But it's never that easy. But I also like to swap out and try drivers doing our job, because it's a lot harder than people think.
Did it one time at Lake County Speedway. We did an officials race.
Yep.
Where if the official took your car, you had to take the official's job.
Oh.
So if the flagman got in your car, you were the flagman, or within a couple varying degrees. So I got into Nick Bienhoff's stock car. It was stock cars only. We didn't want to put us in sprint cars. That's probably not a great idea. So he and his buddy Jody Rosenboom from Rock Rapids, they went up. They announced. Now Jody's never been afraid to talk to people. So
that's not really fair.
Yeah, he had a great time on the microphone that night, and it was a great view to see what it's like inside a stock car with other race cars on the track. It was eye-opening, and I was fortunate. I got to drive a sprint car around Husets.
Wow.
My wife bought me, back when Terry McCarl did his driving school here, my wife bought me a package, and you got into Terry's actual 410 sprint car on a Monday night here at Husets after he raced on Sunday, and that was shocking. Like, sprint cars are crazy. Like, you can reach out and touch the left rear tire. Like, that was the thing. I was like, holy crap, the tire's right here, literally right here. You can touch it.
What has changed in the game for you since you started? What are the things that you notice? What's so much? I mean, the streaming is one thing. That's an obvious, right? Now, back in the day, if you threw a couple extra words out that you didn't mean to throw out, they were lost forever.
Oh, yeah.
Now
everybody hears everything. It used to be really easy, because you would read the lineup, and they're coming to the green, and you'd click the microphone, and they'd race.
Yeah.
And the yellow would come out, or the checkered would come out. You'd turn the microphone back on, and you'd talk about what's happened and where you're at in the race. Now, they come to the green, and you got to keep talking, and you're still talking, and you're still talking. And there are nights, you talk. It feels like 5 hours consistently and constantly, and like, after that, your jaw's a little like you're physically tired from that.
Do you come down after it? I find like it takes me a while to get to sleep, and then you come down. It's like you've been hosting this party for 5,000 people in your house, and they all just run out the door, and you go, it goes quiet like this.
Yeah.
Just quiet. Do you come down like that?
Yeah, I when I get done calling, we get done here on a Sunday night calling a 410 sprint car race. It's pointless to drive home and try to go to sleep because I'm going to be just buzzing for hours. But you've got so much adrenaline from everything you've been doing all night that, I mean, you're on such a high. So we've got a group. We go to generally after a race here at Husets, we go to the bar, and a lot of nights we talk about anything but racing. We just kind of go off. There's a lot of racing people that'll come in there, but we kind of go in our corner and we talk about anything but the night that was, just to start calming, all that adrenaline that's flowing, just to take it down so you can go home and try to get some sleep. The other big thing that I think has changed huge, that I think the new announcers really take for granted, is they've got my race pass or if they,
information at hand.
Yeah. We used to have to walk around the pit area and your pad of paper and you're making your roster right there on the spot. Now you open up my race pass, boom, there's all this information. You click, there's a driver profile. Like, you really don't have to do the work that you used to have to. I mean, and I think some of the new announcers, they take too much of that for granted. They don't go talk. They don't get the backstories. They don't get the story of the night. And this guy had hauler trouble on the way here, and this guy's got this going on. And it's really easy to walk into the racetrack 15 minutes before hot laps and sit down and pick up your microphone and go, "Here we go, ladies and gentlemen." You only know half the story.
Yeah, I mean, up here is very. It's not the word I want to use. It's quite sterile, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean there's no real idea what fans are doing down there. It's a long way down. You're a long way, like Knoxville. And I vividly remember calling a heat race at Knoxville in '92 with Jack Herway and Tim Trier, and the announcer's booth was a table in the bleachers. So if you said something and the fans reacted to it, you knew immediately about that. Whereas here, do you have to sort of put your brain outside the window sometimes?
Absolutely. It's really hard to see the fans from up here because it's such an angle. And even the old booths here at Husets, it's like you could see a lot more of the fan reaction and you could hear them better. You'd see their arms and they'd be open. And so it's at times I have to stop and remember to pause. You just said Dynamite Mark Dobmeyer, he's got a lot of fans out there. Pause.
Yeah.
Then go to the next guy that you're introducing. Let that fan have that moment where they want to cheer and yell for their favorite guy. That's part of this sport. That's why this sport is so great, right? You can cheer for so many people and you can be so enthusiastic in the grandstands. So you have to remember as an announcer to make that pause. Let them have their moment. That's their moment. They paid to come in here and cheer and watch. Let them have it.
What's the coolest part of your job, Shawn?
Oh, man. The big moments. When Sheldon Hodenshield won that first High Bank Nationals here for $100,000 and went from third to first, and the whole place, every fan stood up in unison and cheered. You never really get those moments in racing. They're so rare that everybody in the stands is unified on one thing. Tim Schaefer winning at the Knoxville Nationals is that kind of moment. We had one of those here at Husets when Sheldon did that. That was the coolest moment because if you're announcing football or hockey or whatever other sport is, it's one team versus one team and you got a home crowd and they all cheer for the same thing. That rarely happens in racing. When that happened, so cool. When I was at Eldora last year and I think Sheldon was starting third and I announced his name and the whole crowd roared. I wasn't prepared for that. That was like an OMG moment for me because it was 20-some thousand people cheering at the same time. It was like, whoa, wow, I just caused that. Like I said the word that incited that. It was pretty cool.
So do you look at this as a point of privilege to do this job?
It is, and responsibility. There's both to it. I mean, you're lucky to be an announcer at an elite racetrack, and to be a sprint car announcer is phenomenal. But there's a lot of responsibility to it. There's so many sponsors. There's so much that a night takes to be successful. You're selling. you're oftentimes selling the sizzle. You're not selling the steak. It's nothing tangible. You can't pick it up, but you as the announcer, you're selling the sizzle of what was excitement, and that's what you're selling. But our sport's dangerous, and you've got to be ready for those moments. And if they happen, you've got to be at your very, very best and be ready to do what you need to do for whoever's involved and the crowd that's gathered here. So there's a lot of responsibility in it too that I think it'd be easy to not think about if you weren't doing the job. You got to know there's some law stuff you've got to know, that if the worst of the worst happens, you've got to be prepared to do it right and do it responsibly.
Sadly, I've had a couple of my friends killed while I was announcing their races, and that's the extreme dark side of it. And it does make you do a gut check and think, oh man, what am I doing? And then you realize that the highway out there is far more dangerous than what's going on out there. Now, people outside our racing world, Shawn, don't get that.
No.
Right? It's like barbaric. But the reality is that mercifully happens seldom. But there is always in the back of my mind there that we're playing for keeps.
Yeah, it's real. It's real danger. And I think it's easy to forget that in our roles. It's easy to slip away as a race fan. And there's so many casual fans now. I think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there were hardcore race fans at your racetrack. Now, they're kind of casual. They come in, they're not, the vast majority aren't going to attend every single race that you're at. They're going to come out 3 to 5 times a year when the weather's nice and they've got, it works in their schedule, they're at the track. So they're not as deeply invested as the hardcore fans are. And so it's easier for them to forget these are real people inside machines. And there's inherent danger in this sport.
And we're only getting a very small glimpse of who a person really is when they're inside the race car. Like what they're doing inside that race car it doesn't make Sheldon Haudenschild who he is in a race car is vastly different to who he is on the road with Zan and Pella.
Yeah.
So, fans are getting a pretty polarizing view of some. I mean, with Terry McCall's a good example, like where you probably are seeing that same passion and that same energy, but they are human beings and they have family and we all seem to think when you buy a ticket to come in that you have an inherent right to have an opinion and your opinion is right.
I think Terry's the greatest example there is of that. With his 102 wins here at Husets, he's the most booed race car driver in this track's history.
Even over Sammy.
Far over Sammy.
That's incredible. That's something Terry's got to hang his hat on because...
And he fed off of it.
Yeah, of course.
But the greatest thing with Terry is you'd be here at the racetrack and he could be mad about something and have his game face on and you're an MFer and every word in the book, and then 30 minutes later you walk into 212 down the road and have a drink and there he is and you're best friends. And it's the moment, it's the passion, it's the heat, it's the adrenaline, it's everything at the racetrack. And then you've got somebody like Terry who, for how long, has made his living doing this. He's in his office, his game face is on. And I think people forget that too about drivers, is this is their job. For some of them, if they don't perform, how are they going to pay their mortgage? How are they going to put food on the table? That's stress,
If you're not working as well, because I thought about that with Kerry Madsen. Every day I drive in Knoxville, I drive past Kerry's shop, and I think there's a guy that's in the later part of his career, and there's all these young Kerry Madsens out there that want a piece of him. And if he gets his work environment, there's 20 other people in his work environment that could dramatically affect his income.
Yeah.
When you go to work as a plumber or an electrician or something like that, it's you and the company. The work conditions pretty well stay the same compared to what these guys do.
I've had that conversation at other tracks with officials when we travel with MSTS or just some other tracks where 410s are coming in for a night and I'm working, and you kind of have to level set their minds. If they're a stock car track and they run hobby stocks and B mods or whatever, and you disqualify that guy or you send that guy to the back for jumping a start, you took $200 out of his pocket. You do that to a 410 sprint car driver, and you took his food payment, you took his mortgage, you took his car payment away.
Potentially his ride.
Yeah, because it's such a quick sport. So I've given that kind of that discussion to officials at other tracks of, sprint cars, and that's kind of why most officials, we're pretty hands off with sprint cars, right? Like, you stop, you go to the back, you flip, you're probably done, but you're going to the back, and there's not like in stock car racing around here. IMCA doesn't do it so much, but there's a lot of stock car tracks that, oh well, this guy caused this guy to spin out, so we're gonna put this guy back, and this guy's going. Thankfully there's not that in sprint car racing. You were in it, and thankfully drivers understand that.
As announcers, you have to have a certain degree of ego, Shawn. Ultimately, we have to believe that we are the best qualified to say something that everybody hears. And it's something you have to be comfortable with. You have to ultimately say to yourself, yeah, I've got an ego. I'm the guy that thinks that, yeah, I can say what needs to be said. It's important, but there's a balance, isn't there?
Oh yeah, huge.
Because they're not coming to see us.
Never.
That's the reality.
Yeah. No one has ever paid outside. I think my wife and son might come to the races once in a while just because I'm
Dad's
an
here.
announcer.
Yep.
But then again, they can stay home and hear it too. But it's a tough balance because you've got to have enough ego that when you're that young announcer, and it happened to me, if you're just the new announcer, the fan that comes up to you and tells you that you suck, maybe they're related to the guy you just replaced, or somebody else applied for that job, or they just don't like change, or maybe you do suck. I think at the beginning of my career, I probably did suck at some of the stuff I did.
Yep.
But you've got to have enough of an ego to be able to come back the next week and do it again. Otherwise, you just walk away right away from it.
And we're in a very critical environment now, mate. The world has changed dramatically since the spicy cough, since 2020. People are a lot more quick to be critical and will find a fault in something. So the Shawn Neisteadt that started out is in a dramatically different world to what you're in now with people's perception.
The Shawn Neisteadt that started out wouldn't make it. Everybody right now is ready at the drop of a hat to burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
Just, this is a change, or, that didn't sound perfect to me. Burn it. I don't like it anymore. Get rid of it. And that's the world we're in now. And I don't know how we get back to having grace and having some, passion and compassion for your fellow man. And
it's not just racing. To clarify, it's baseball, it's football,
it's everywhere.
It's every industry is that same. Dominic Selzy said to me recently, if we all weren't so tender. He used the word tender, and I was like, what a great word. Reactive is the other word I would say, but tender is a great word for it because people just seem to be so easily offended now.
Yeah.
And you and I and Tony and Johnny and all those announcers are very easy targets.
Oh.
Right?
You still see, we've always been an easy target back in the message board days and the Husets message board lives on.
Do you look at social media? Because I don't for that reason.
I do. Just, how do you say that? I don't think I'm a big enough target. I'm just a weekly announcer at Husets Speedway, and I don't say that to diminish Husets Speedway. I'm not a national touring announcer. I'm not doing this 100 times a year. I'm not making my living doing this. So I'm not such a big target like Johnny is. But Johnny's a target because he's doing it 80, 90 times a year.
That's right.
So if you read one thing where it says, hey, this announcer, I don't like this, and I don't like, out of how many hundreds of thousands of fans are going to hear him over the year versus, me. So yeah, I'll look at that stuff, but you got to take it all with a grain of salt because of, it's really easy to sign in and have a fake name, and even on Facebook now, you don't have to have a real name. Look at all those posts on there. It's so easy to get on there and just rip somebody. But you're right. It's every sport. We were at a baseball tournament for my son this summer, and it was a one umpire game, and I felt so bad for this umpire trying to make all these calls all over the field. And I talked to him between games. He was getting out in the sun, and I'm like, man, that's a hard gig doing this with one guy at this level of baseball. And he said, we have no umpires around here. Can't get any. And that's the reason.
You do develop a level of empathy. Like when we go to venues, right? You think, oh, this guy's doing a good job. Or you go, oh, wow, okay, that's a little. You said that maybe a few too many times, or we all do that. But I think it's because we love it, and you and I understand, that there's so much more that goes into our role than just turning on the microphone and saying something, and our environment, and particularly down there when you're in amongst it. That's in the aquarium. There's a lot of stuff that you can't control. People's reactions, people's words. Here's a little bit safer. You can kind of, block out the noise a little bit. But I love this, right? So I just noticed a notification on my phone. Rick Unger commented on your photo. That's what I love about my job. I get to be friends with my heroes.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen much, Shawn, in other parts of the world. You can't just become friends with CJ Stroud. Yeah. I might buy a T-shirt off him and become friends with him on Facebook, and we'll hang out. God, I love our sport.
Isn't it great? You get to go up and you get to see your heroes, and I still think that's the greatest part on a Sunday night here. The races get done, and you watch the people walk right down to the race cars, to the pit area. You see the pictures on social media. You see the kids sitting in a sprint car, and every one of them has a smile on their face. That's the best part of this, is you get to be right up close and personal. We haven't built those barriers between the stars and the fans.
So that young kid that was chasing donuts when he was really just trying to get a smile from a pretty girl has gone on to become one of the best announcers in American sprint car racing. Shawn, you do a fantastic job, mate, in the role that you have with all the commercial realities that you have with this sort of stuff and everything. And I'm proud to call you a friend, mate. You do tremendous work. And thank you so much for the coffee. It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Scooters. Scoot around. What is this before I drink? It's not like an almond latte, is it?
No, it's sugar-free, though. It's sugar-free.
Yeah, okay. But what?
Turtle latte.
Turtle latte. What's happened to you, Shawn? Used to be a manly man.